One of the biggest mysteries of 2016 clearly was the transfer of information from the DNC servers to WikiLeaks. Right? Somehow, the John Podesta's emails, Hillary Clinton's emails, all of the insiders at the DNC, their emails and their personal communications were transferred to WikiLeaks. And the speculation was, or the confirmed theory, the Russiagate theory was that Russians swooped into the DNC and pulled that information out, Guccifer 2.0 and Super Guccifer and all these crazy Russians, the 912 Russians under indictment that carried out this operation. And there's no evidence to prove it. There's no evidence. It was all it all relied on a third party CrowdStrike confirmation. The FBI, our federal government didn't investigate the case, right? So the point is that inside of that, the theory, the real theory, not that the Russians did it because there's no evidence that the Russians did it, but there is other theories that Seth Rich, the young man that was working in the DNC, took his hard drive one day. He took his hard drive and he stuck it in the computer and he downloaded all the information and he gave it off to Julian Assange, who's sitting in jail right now. Right? That's one theory. The other theory that really wasn't as pronounced but clearly is valid is Imran Awan. So Imran Awan and his brother, the Awan brothers, were IT guys that worked inside of Congress that were hired by Debbie Wasserman Schultz and had access to all of the computers. Many of them, many of the Democratic members of Congress had the Imran Awan and the other guy, the IT guys, had access. They had Debbie Wasserman Schultz's actual passwords to a computer. So the point is that when we say that this information was secure, it really wasn't secure. A bunch of Pakistani guys running around had all access to all of this stuff. So that's the story. Let's revisit. Here's a clip from Fox Business. It's what's his name? Luke Rosiak, who did great work with this. Let's listen to this report, and then we'll move on to what just happened. New filings, actually a new hearing to get documents that involved the Imran Awan case, because of course it wasn't heard because of the power of the people. It was Debbie Wasserman Schultz, it was Hillary Clinton, it was John Podesta. And what Imran Awan likely did was cover for those folks. So it is likely that how was it that the information got from the DNC servers to WikiLeaks? It is quite possible that Imran Awan could have been somehow part of that leak. Right? It is possible, right? We don't know. But again, listen to this.
Troubling new details concerning Debbie Wasserman Schultz's disgraced IT ad from Pakistan. Imran Awan, now linked to reports of gun violence surrounding his two wives who live in Virginia. Awan, currently set to strike a plea deal on bank fraud charges, transferring money from the Congressional Federal Credit Union to Pakistan before he tried to flee the country. Joining us tonight, Daily Caller investigative reporter Luke Rosiak. Great to have you with us. Luke, you've done an outstanding job, you and the Daily Caller, in reporting on this.
Imran Awan, by the way, was he's already been convicted of bank fraud, and no jail time. He just walked out the back door with nothing.
Story, but yours is a lonely voice in all of this. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, I mean, it looks like she would be subject to a number of charges. Where first is she in all of this, and why hasn't there been more attention paid to her role in preserving Awan's, well, first of all, his job in Congress as an IT aide and consultant, and her role in the DNC, hacking by the Russians, we're told. We have to take a third party's word for that. And of course, the access of those IT associates of Awan's to 59 congressmen's emails.
Well, it's
Now, I want to just clarify that I don't believe I put Seth Rich on the thumbnail. I'm not implying that Seth Rich was part of aspiring, part of an operation to get the information. I think it was more innocent that Seth Rich may have been the guy that got the information and dumped it, and subsequently was killed for doing that. Now, Imran Awan, that's a different story. Working directly with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who was then the chairman, the DNC chair, right, had all access, right? Because if Imran Awan has access to Debbie Wasserman Schultz's computers, he also has access to all of the DNC information. So this is the stuff that Russiagate and Mueller never investigated. Right? They didn't investigate it. What was the role of Imran Awan and his brother and his wife and the 6 people that were hired to do what? To be IT people? Some of them didn't even have IT backgrounds. They were getting paid $150,000 for doing nothing. So let's listen to Luke Rosiak spell it out.
exactly what you were just talking about with the DOJ IG report. The Democrats are very smart. They manipulate the justice system so that there are no charges even when there is ample evidence. And then the media is so lazy that they don't write about anything unless there's charges. And then they control the narrative. So that's why we're sitting here 2 years after the House Inspector General found that these guys from Pakistan hacked Congress, and we're talking about bank fraud. Bank fraud has nothing to do with this, but the FBI somehow found a way to take all the clear-cut evidence that these guys were hacking Congress and cooking the books and stealing equipment and sending it back to Pakistan, and somehow 2 years later they've just charged them with this unrelated thing. There's a letter from the head of the Capitol Police dated February 2017.
This is called corruption. Right? This is corruption at the highest level. Right? These are the things like the big move covers the little move. The big move is Russiagate. The Russians hacked the election. But the little move is stuff like this. Where is Seth Rich? What happened on that night in D.C.? Was he killed by the FBI, the people that were trying to cover this up? What does Julian Assange have to say about this whole thing? The guy sitting in jail, the publisher of the information. All right, that's the little move. All right, the big move covers the little move.
That says that after they identified this server, the House Democratic Caucus server, as having been hacked, it was stolen. So we're going backwards here with the FBI. So one of the things that the Awan case tells you is that what we saw with the IG report into Hillary Clinton is that's not a one-time thing. This is how they do it at the FBI. There's 2 tiers of justice. There's the one where they knock down your door at 3 in the morning. And then there's the one where when you're on Team Clinton, when they don't put you under oath, they don't interview anyone, they don't execute any search warrants. And so that's what we've seen here. And I think we're going to see...
It's very clear from the IG report, even though it eludes him in his conclusions and recommendations. It's very clear that the FBI is a democratically controlled agency with Obama holdovers in very important places and the leadership of the FBI. And the same.
So this is all before we found out that Comey was a fraud and the rest of them, right? Well, I guess it's around the same time.
Obviously must be true of the Department of Justice. It's that simple. It's that straightforward. And anyone in this administration or anyone in the House of Representatives or the Senate who do not understand that they are engaged in a war with both the deep state and the left is simply not paying attention. I want to turn to Hillary Clinton.
All right, so that's who Imran Awan is. Now, here's the breaking news. Judicial Watch federal court orders snap hearing on Awan brothers. Congressional Democratic IT scandal after DOJ files document under seal. So there's documents, right? That's what Judicial Watch does. They ask for documents, right? It's really confusing and boring to some degree, but what those documents reveal could be very interesting. So let's listen. Judicial Watch announced today that a federal court yesterday ordered a snap hearing after the Justice Department submitted information under seal on Friday, following the court's demand for an explanation of why no records have been produced in the ongoing legal battle for documents about congressional IT scandal involving the Awan brothers. So, Judicial Watch makes a request. The DOJ waits, sits on their hands, and does nothing. And now a snap hearing has been called. In February 2000, let's see, there is an order, right? What does it say? You hit on order. It says, what does it say? It says the following transaction was entered on the 13th. No document attached. The parties shall appear. It says an appearance, pushing for an appearance in this case. Right? Sorry. Yeah, so it was also, let's look at this too, because Trump, remember, even Trump chirped in on this. Our Justice Department must not let Awan and Debbie Wasserman Schultz off the hook. The Democratic IT scandal is a key to much of the corruption we see today. They want to make a plea deal to hide what is on their server. Where is the server? Really bad. Now, the DNC server was one, but there was another server that the Awan brothers were operating, right? So the idea that somehow Russians hacked into the election with all of these other possibilities of how information leaked out is interesting, right? Because look, no Russians hacked the DNC, right? It's an inside job. Now, do we call the Awan brothers an inside? And it's not a hack. It's just they have access. There's a difference. Hacking is, fraudulently getting into the documents. These guys had all access because they worked for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It's a big difference. So what was on? So when Imran Awan was finally arrested for bank fraud, which is ridiculous, and served no time, got a plea deal, conditional discharge or whatever it was, a year probation, nothing, no jail time. Where was the other document? So in November 2018, Judicial Watch filed a Freedom of Information Act against the FBI over the FOIA requests for records relating to the Awan brothers. In August 2019, the Department of Justice told the court that it could not begin producing records that it would produce records by November 5th. After producing no records on November 13th, the agency told Judicial Watch that it was having, quote, technical difficulties, and in a recent email claimed the difficulties with the production remain. Technical difficulties in producing documents? Come on. In a joint status report filed on December 5th, 2019, Judicial Watch reported to the court that the DOJ claimed in a phone call that it was now unable to produce any records to either the FOIA requests because the agency was waiting for some unsuspected action by another judge, in some other matter, so as to avoid having to produce records in this case. Wow. So what that says is there's this FOIA request for information, and the DOJ is supposed to produce that information. And then they say, oh, no, we can't because it's tied up in another case, and we can't give it to you. What other case? Where? All right? So see how one hand washes the other when they control the whole board? They're not giving up shit. They're not going to give up the information. So here's what Judicial Watch is saying. The cover-up of the Awan brothers' Democratic IT scandals shows the FBI and DOJ's penchant for dishonesty isn't just limited to FISA abuse, said Tom Fenton of the Judicial Watch. The DOJ's handling of the Awan brothers case has long been an issue of concern, and now we are expected to believe some secret investigation prevents the public from knowing the full truth about the scandal. We are skeptical, to say the least. So Imran Awan was Debbie Wasserman Schultz's top information technology aide. Most lawmakers fired Awan in February, but Wasserman Schultz kept him on until he was arrested in July 2017, trying to board a flight to Pakistan. In 2018, Awan was given a plea deal and pleaded guilty to federal bank fraud, but prosecutors found no evidence that Awan violated federal law with respect to the House computer systems. It's the scam of the century, really. Right? So, was there a spy ring in Congress? Were they spying on us? I don't know about that, but it's definitely clear that more than just Seth Rich and people that worked at the DNC had access to that, quote, sensitive information inside of the DNC, inside of Debbie Wasserman Schultz's computer, John Podesta's emails, all that stuff they had access to. That's clear. There's more than just the people that work there that had access to. There's this whole other area of the Awan brothers. So just, just a piece of information now that Awan, that documents they exist, and the DOJ is still, after all this time, after even Trump is now the president who said, what about the Awan brothers, is now in control of the DOJ and nothing is getting done. They're hiding the documents going forward. It's crazy, right? I thought Trump's going to drain the swamp. Trump's going to lock her up. The answer to so much of the corruption and the election fraud is in this case right here with Imran Awan. So Marcus Conte reporting.